Exposed. When my daughter's fiancé called me a nobody, his father revealed an incredible truth. Tom felt the walls closing in on him as he stood at the backyard of his suburban home, surveying the engaged couple's party set up under the large oak tree. Colorful balloons bobbed in the late afternoon breeze, laughter rang out, and the scent of grilled burgers danced through the air. His daughter Sarah, eyes sparkling with love, stood close to Ben, her fiancé, who wore a seemingly effortless smile. But for Tom, that smile felt more like a mask, hiding a world of ambition he could never quite grasp. As the afternoon wore on, Tom's heart grew heavier. He was a mechanic by trade, with calloused hands and dreams soaked in grease, and here stood Ben, the golden boy from a wealthy family, oozing confidence in a crisp, tailored suit. "What do you think I know about hard work?" Ben had said at the first family dinner, flashing that perfect smile. It echoed now, deepening Tom's insecurities like a relentless echo in a cavern. The moment came, and the clinking of glasses silenced the once cheerful chatter. Ben raised his glass, and with a casual wave of his hand, he launched an insult toward Tom. "To my future family, no offense, Tom, but you're a nobody compared to what we're bringing to the table." An uncomfortable hush fell over the gathering, the clinking glasses too quiet, the laughter stifled. Tom's chest tightened, a whirlwind of emotions swirling into heartache. He sensed the disapproval, the judgmental glances shooting toward him, words swirling in the air like vultures waiting for a carcass. Nobody, he thought. It felt like a punch to the gut, drawing old wounds to the forefront. Years of hard work, sacrifice, all reduced to a simple jab. Just when Tom feared he might crumble, an unexpected figure stepped forward. Ben's estranged father, an imposing man in a tailored suit, cleared his throat and spoke low but firm. "You're all wrong." His voice cut through the tension like a hot knife through butter. "Believe it or not, our families share a history that binds us far more than you could imagine." Gasps echoed around the yard as the crowd buzzed with confusion. What could he mean? Tom felt the chill of uncertainty. The reveal sparked whispers among the guests, exposing past secrets interwoven in their lives, scars that would not fade easily. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tom looked for support, and around him, neighbors nodded knowingly, sharing their own stories of struggle and perseverance. One by one, they began to step forward, connecting the dots of their humble lives, exposing the wealth of character that money could never buy. That moment, under the vast suburban sky, began to bloom into something timeless, revealing that it wasn't their finances that defined them, it was the blood, sweat, and tears they poured into their lives. As emotions unfolded, Ben's arrogance crumbled like dry leaves beneath Tom's feet. The smirk faded from his face, revealing the cracks of privilege barely papered over. Tom, filled with a newfound fire, approached Ben, heart pounding, ready to confront the young man about the privilege he took for granted. Just as they locked eyes, a final secret slipped from Ben's father's lips, unraveling years of distance and pain, pulling the families closer while threatening to expose them to uncomfortable truths. Would any of this bring them closer, or had the wounds just started to bleed anew? The air sizzled with questions, begging a resolution. Could dignity stand resilient against the weight of pride? The tension hung in the air, creating a suspense that promised the next chapter would be filled with unexpected revelations. The air was thick with emotion as Tom stood before Ben, those words still hanging like dark clouds overhead. He could feel the throbbing pulse in his temples, the rush of blood drowning out the laughter that moments ago filled the yard. What could that secret be? The thoughts tumbled in his mind like marbles spilling from a jar, chaotic yet oddly familiar. "Tom," Ben's father said, his tone steady but urgent, "there's something you need to know about our families." All eyes were on them, the chatter died down to hushed whispers. Tom's heart raced, an odd mix of dread and curiosity wrapping around him. This didn't just concern him, it involved Sarah, the future he pictured for her, everything at stake. Years ago, your father and I were close. Business partners, in fact, Ben's father continued, his voice carrying the weight of time. Things got complicated, and we lost touch, but not before, well, before I made my own mistakes. Tom clutched the edge of the table, the wood rough against his palms. His father? Partner to this man's? It felt surreal, like waking from a bad dream only to find more layers of confusion woven into reality. He searched Ben's face, trying to gauge if any expression reflected the turmoil inside him. What are you saying? Tom's voice was a whisper, barely breaking through the silence. Sarah's eyes flitted between him and Ben, confusion etching lines on her forehead. When I met your father, it felt like a goldmine of potential, Ben's father continued, but greed got in the way. I moved forward, thinking wealth and connections were everything. I lost everything that mattered. Tom felt the room tilt, a rush of adrenaline spiking in him. So you thought you could just toss my hard work aside? My family? You think wealth and power can erase our hard-earned lives? He steadied his voice, tapping into a surge of righteous anger. Tom, no. Ben stepped forward, his tone softening, breaking through the tension like a ray of sunlight. I didn't mean it like that. I don't think you're a nobody. My father, he's not right. He lost his way, and I don't want to follow him. This admission hung heavy in the air, transforming the atmosphere, the former jarring hostility melting into vulnerability. Tom sensed a flicker of something in Ben, a glimmer of connection drifting towards understanding. The crowd murmured softly, and instinctively, they drew closer, witnessing the unfolding drama that felt more like a shared struggle than a mere family quarrel. Then let us redefine what this all means, Tom said, emboldened by this unexpected offering. Let our families finally close the gap that has festered for too long. But you need to understand something, Ben. Money doesn't define my worth. It never will. This is about hard work, honor, and family. Agreed, Ben replied, a flicker of respect flashing in his eyes. Maybe this was their needed confrontation, a chance to peel back the assumptions that had blinded them from one another. Just then, laughter erupted from the crowd as Sarah broke the tension with an awkward joke, trying to bring light back to their gathering. But Tom could feel the shift, something was changing in the air, breaking down barriers, stitch by stitch, and then, as if in slow motion, Tom realized that everything they thought they knew was crumbling. The weight of history pressed down upon their shoulders, and yet, it also carried the possibility of a new beginning. With their shared past now out in the open, would they be able to forge a new path? Would the two families blend, or was this moment just the calm before an inevitable storm? Tom's heart raced at the myriad of possibilities. The apple of hope and fear hung in the balance, taunting him with the unanswered question that lingered. Could they truly rebuild, or were they destined to repeat mistakes of the past? Tom stood silent as the laughter from the crowd slowly faded, replaced by a tense, charged stillness. Sarah's efforts to lighten the mood hung awkwardly in the air, seemingly overshadowed by the secrets just revealed. Tom felt his heart hammering, the weight of Ben's father's confession pressing down on him. It felt like standing at the edge of a precipice, staring into darkness below. Do you realize what this means? Tom finally spoke, his voice steadier than he felt. If our families have been woven together through past decisions, if there's more to this than just business, then our lives, they're linked. Forever. Ben nodded slowly. I know. I've been trying to understand it, too. He stepped closer to Tom, a glint of determination in his eyes. We can choose to change our course. It starts with honesty, right? Tom's brow furrowed as he glanced around the yard, noticing the expressions on their friends' faces. Mixed reactions played out. Some were intrigued, others looked anxious. It was a reminder that this wasn't just about them, it was about everyone who had watched the rift grow over the years. Honesty, Tom echoed, feeling the burden ease slightly as he spoke the word. Yes, it's a good start. But it's more than just secrets. It's expectations, fears. We have to address all of it. As he locked eyes with Ben, he felt the beginnings of a quiet bond forming, akin to the threadbare fabric of a long-lost blanket. It would take work, maybe a lot of work, to weave something robust and useful from what they had recovered. Should we do it here? Ben gestured to their friends. The question hung in the air, almost a dare. Should we put it all out on the table? The truth? Tom hesitated, the weight of the past still hovering. Maybe not everything, but we can start. We owe it to ourselves. And to Sarah. All right, Ben said, resolve glimmering in his voice. He turned, addressing the group. Everyone, can I have your attention? Eyes darted around, the tension palpable as conversations halted. He took a deep breath. We're about to talk about some things that have been hidden too long. Our families have a history, one that's affected all of us. We have a choice. We can either keep living in the shadow of those decisions or we can choose to face them together. The murmurs began again, this time curiosity edged with apprehension. Tom felt a mixture of pride and trepidation. Tom, maybe you should lead it? You know what's at stake, Ben encouraged, stepping back slightly to give Tom the space. Tom swallowed hard. All right, he said, his voice finding its strength. I'll start. He took a moment, searching the eyes of his friends and family. I've always believed in hard work and loyalty. The secrets today have uncovered how fragile that belief can be. I know now that my worth isn't tied to my family's past, but particularly, to how we approach our future. With that, something shifted. Tom could see Sarah nodding, encouragement shining in her gaze. It ignited a flicker of hope in him, the light he'd been searching for. Could they truly rebuild? Ben, what about your side? What do you think your father feels now? The mistakes he's made? Tom asked, his heart pounding in anticipation of the response. Ben scratched his head, the uncertainty reflecting back at Tom. I think he's ashamed, but he doesn't want to drag me down with him. Silence settled again, a heavy cloak woven from uncertainty. The moment felt monumental, like the first brush of paint on a blank canvas, both terrifying and full of potential. And then, the backyard door swung open, an unexpected twist as Ben's father stepped out, eyes filled with emotion. You all deserve to know my side of the story, he said, voice cracking slightly. A shocked hush swept over the crowd, breaths held in anticipation. What would he reveal now? What more could unfold from this already complex web of family ties? And as Tom's heart raced once more, curiosity flickered in his chest. Could this unraveling truly pave the way for forgiveness and unity, or was it merely the beginning of revealing deeper secrets? Ben's father took a deep breath, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a knife. He stepped closer, hands trembling slightly. I didn't want to come forward, but I see now how much we've all been affected. He looked out at the group, his eyes lingering on Ben, guilt heavy on his shoulders. There are things I've carried for years, things that I thought I could shield you all from. I thought protecting you meant pushing the past aside. But now his voice faltered, revealing the cracks in his armor. With every person's gaze on him, he wrestled with his own demons. You all deserve the truth. The bond formed between our families is deep, and it's all linked to choices I made long ago. Tom felt the crowd's anticipation shift to something heavier. What kind of choices? He pressed, his own heart racing at the possibilities that loomed over them. Ben's father took another deep breath and began. Years ago, before any of you were born, my business partner, Tom's father, and I had a falling out over a deal that went horribly wrong. Images of childhood flooded Tom's mind. That deal, that rift, it had caused a rift that destroyed friendships, ruined families. Those boyhood memories felt like a distant haze now, colored by newfound revelations. It was about money, yes, but it was about more than that. I was scared. Instead of communicating, I made choices that hurt us all. I can't say I completely understood the impact then, but I do now. I fell into a trap of pride and fear. Ben's voice trembled as he spoke up. Is that why you've always pushed me away from Tom's family? Always told me to stay clear? Yes, Ben's father admitted, shame etched on his face. I didn't want history to repeat itself. I thought if I kept you away, you wouldn't get hurt like I did. The silence was suffocating. Everyone absorbed the weight of his words. It opened a floodgate, the acknowledgement of years wasted in silence and fear. Tom stepped forward, his voice steady despite the chaos in his mind. But by hiding, you only built those walls higher. A flicker of understanding spread through the crowd. As Ben's father looked at Tom, their eyes met, a shared regret binding them in unspoken acknowledgement. I'm sorry, Tom. I can't change the past, but I want to move forward. Together, Ben's father pleaded, desperation in his eyes. Ben's weight shifted beside him, and Tom could see his resolve strengthen. There was a bond forming, one that had once been torn down. A flicker of hope lit within him. I want to face this past head-on, Ben said, his voice loud and clear. We can work through this. Together. Yes. Sarah chimed in. It's a chance for us all to heal. To create a future that isn't bound by the mistakes of the past. Tom felt the energy in the yard shift. What had started as tension slowly transformed into determination, flickering hope igniting in each heart. A united front began to emerge, families once divided searching for a way forward. Suddenly, Tom's phone buzzed in his pocket, jarring him from the unfolding moment. He reached for it, glancing at the screen, an unknown number. Instinctively, he answered. Tom, a voice on the other end said urgently. You need to listen to me. There's something else you don't know about your father. Tom's heart plummeted. What more could there possibly be? His thoughts spiraled as he stole a glance at Ben and the gathered crowd, a tornado of emotions swirling inside him. As he pressed the phone closer to his ear, uncertainty rippling through him, he felt a darkness lurking again. Was he ready for yet another truth? What could it mean for the bonds they had just begun to mend? Wait, what do you mean? He asked, barely able to breathe as he awaited the answer that could change everything once more. Tom's grip tightened around the phone as he held his breath, waiting for the voice on the other end to continue. The yard around him seemed to blur, the laughter and chatter of the gathering fading into the background. His heart raced, the urgency in the caller's tone sending chills up his spine. It's not just about the falling out between your father and Ben, the voice said, low and deliberate. There's something deeper, a secret kept even from you. What are you talking about? Tom's pulse quickened. Would this shatter what had just begun to feel like hope? Your father made choices that affected not just him, but you, and Ben too. The voice paused for a breath. You need to know the truth before it all unravels. Tell me, Tom demanded, desperation clawing at him. He felt the weight of the crowd behind him, their anxious faces contrasting sharply with his internal storm. There was an affair, Tom. Your father wasn't who you think he was. He betrayed more than just a business partner. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap, loud and undeniable. Tom stumbled back, the revelation a slap in the face. An affair? My father? With who? He loved Ben's mother. The air left Tom's lungs. He glanced at Ben, who stood beside him, his eyes wide with confusion. Could it be true? It felt impossible, like a nightmare he was trapped in. He shook his head, trying to deny the reality unfolding before him. That can't be right. You're lying. I wish I were, but I'm not, the voice replied regretfully. His guilt drove him into isolation, and that's part of what tore our families apart. It created an unspoken rift, and you're caught in the middle of it." Tom ran a hand through his hair, disoriented. He looked at Ben, who was now watching him intently, a mix of concern and something else. Could it be fear? "Tom, what is it?" Ben asked, urgency creeping into his voice. "What did they say?" Tom swallowed hard, struggling to find the words as a chorus of anger, betrayal, and sorrow welled up within him. "It's about my father, and your mom," he finally managed. The disbelief on Ben's face was nothing short of heartbreaking. "No. No, that can't be," Ben whispered, shaking his head in disbelief. "Ben, I just heard," Tom started, but the weight of it all cut him off. He felt the crowd nudging closer, their curiosity morphing into concern. "What is going on?" Sarah broke through, her voice rising above the murmurs. "Tom? Ben?" Tom shut his eyes for a moment, desperate for clarity that wouldn't come. When he opened them, the look in Ben's eyes turned from confusion to hurt. "How could this happen?" "I don't know," Tom answered, his voice trembling. "But we need to find out. We need to put this out in the open before it destroys us all." With that, a collective hush fell over the crowd. They waited, breath held in the midst of rising tension. Every pair of eyes remained glued to Tom, waiting for him to revive hope where there was only darkness. Then, Ben squared his shoulders as if preparing for battle. "I want to talk to my mom. We need to get to the bottom of this," he declared, determination surging through him. "Are you sure?" Tom asked, worried for Ben's emotional well-being. "I'm sure," Ben said firmly. "I want to let this secret bury us." The two friends exchanged glances, a silent agreement forming between them. The air was electric with anticipation, tension hanging thick again. Their families, their history, everything they knew was about to be laid bare. As the group started to disperse, Tom couldn't shake off the sense of dread. "When we talk to Ben's mother, what if she denies it?" he wondered out loud. "We'll face it together, whatever the truth is," Ben replied, his conviction renewing Tom's own strength. But before Tom could respond, the phone slipped from his fingers. He barely caught it before it hit the ground. The screen lit up again with the unknown number, and his heart raced. Was this a call for redemption or one that would plunge them deeper into chaos? "Should I answer?" Tom asked, looking at Ben and feeling a knot form in his stomach. Hope and fear knotted together in his chest. If the first call unraveled their lives, what could this one mean for their futures? Tom's hand trembled slightly as he held the phone. The name on the screen was still a mystery, a shadow lurking that only added to the anxiety swirling in his mind. He shared a concerned look with Ben, who was now pacing anxiously, running a hand through his hair as if trying to comb out the chaos unfolding in his thoughts. "Just pick it up," Ben urged, his voice low but urgent. "You need to know who it is." Tom's fingers hesitated before pressing the green button. The line crackled before a familiar voice poured through, wrapped in confusion and urgency. "Tom? It's Sarah's father, Mike. We need to talk." The joy of hearing Mike's voice was overshadowed by his worry. The last time they spoke had been strained, an awkward exchange laced with unspoken grievances. "About what?" Tom replied, not sure he truly wanted to know. "Your father." Mike's voice trailed off, hesitance seeping into his words. "He was involved in something that could explain everything, this rift. And I believe it involves your mother as well." Confusion wrapped around Tom's heart like a vice. This was not what he expected. "My mother? What do you mean?" "Meet me at the old diner in 10 minutes. I can't say much over the phone." There was a finality in Mike's tone that left little room for argument. "It's important. Bring Ben." The call ended abruptly, leaving Tom staring at the screen for a moment before looking up at Ben, who was watching him with wide eyes. "What did he say?" Tom inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. My dad, and my mom. They're mixed up in this too. What does that even mean? Ben's voice was tight with confusion. They knew? Tom realized in that moment that truth had a habit of digging up unimaginable dirt, a poison running through the roots that tangled their families together. I don't know. But we need to figure this out. Now. Without another word, they turned and headed toward the car, determination mingling with fear. The sensation of the warm wind against their faces told Tom there was no turning back. They had already stepped into the storm. The diner was old but familiar, shadows lurking in the dim light as they entered. Empty booths lined the walls, a ghostly reminder of the past, echoing laughter and warmth now faded. Mike was already seated in a corner, the flickering neon sign outside illuminating his worried expression. You made it, he said, relief evident in his eyes, but Tom could sense a lingering dread. Tell us everything, Ben said, urgency threading through his words. Mike hesitated, fingers drumming nervously on the table. This will change everything, he finally said, looking from Tom to Ben. What I have to say isn't easy to hear. Just, be prepared. Tom's heart raced, the echo of past troubles reverberating within him. What could be worse than everything they'd uncovered? He glanced at Ben and saw mirrored concern in his eyes. As Mike began to speak, old memories resurfaced, and Tom's stomach twisted in anticipation. What lay ahead? Would the truth unite them or tear them apart? Before your fathers formed their partnership, there was a situation, Mike started. The words began to swirl around Tom like a whirlwind, carrying with it a sense of impending chaos. What did they truly know about their parents? The truth felt like a time bomb, and for the first time, Tom feared what lay beyond the conversation. Would revealing the secrets lead to healing or heartbreak? Wait, what situation? Ben interjected, his tone edged with panic. But Tom could only grip the edge of the table, breath held tight, waiting for the revelations that would plunge them into deeper shadows or bring them into the light. What would they find out as the darkness began to lift? Mike cleared his throat, gripping the edge of the table as if to steady himself. I am not sure where to begin, but it revolves around the past more than you think. His voice cracked slightly, and Tom could see the weight of his words pressing down on him. Just say it, Tom urged, his heart pounding in his chest. We aren't here for small talk. Nodding, Mike took a deep breath. Years ago, before our families got intertwined, your father and mine, he hesitated, glancing around the nearly empty diner. They had a business deal, but it wasn't just business. It was personal. Something went wrong, and it left a mess. A mess that still feels fresh. Go on, Ben pressed, his eyes glued to Mike, silently demanding more. Mike shifted uneasily in his seat. Your father was involved in some serious stuff, Tom. There were debts, threats, and it directly involved both of our families. But there was more, something I discovered later. Both our mothers had deeper roles. His voice dropped to a whisper. It's been hidden for so long. Tom felt nausea creep into his stomach. What kind of roles? What do you mean? Your mother, she wasn't just a bystander. She was part of it. Mike's eyes darkened. She made choices that tied her to your father's actions. Choices that led to a fallout, one that almost destroyed our families. The words hit Tom like a physical blow, his breath hitching as he processed the implications. What did she do? She made alliances, secrets that shaped our lives. Mike leaned forward, urgency spilling out. It's why she went into hiding, why she stopped talking to him, and why there's been so much anger. The more I dug, the more I understood. It's a dark legacy, and it brought tragedy to us all. Holding tightly to the edge of the table, Tom's mind raced. He thought of the warmth in his mother's smile, the laughter they shared. It all felt like a mirage now, fading with every revelation. And this is why Ben's sister is? Yes. Mike's eyes flashed with a mix of sympathy and regret. It's connected in ways we didn't see until recently. Sarah's health issues, the estrangement, it's all tangled in our parents' past. And that's why we're all sitting here today. Ben's face paled. So you're saying Sarah's situation? His voice trailed off, realization washing over him. It's complex. You both need to be prepared. There are more connections. People are involved. Mike's gaze darted around the diner, checking for listeners, the fear in his eyes evident. Tom felt the sting of betrayal seep into his soul. He thought he understood his family, but in that moment, everything seemed different, distorted. Why are you telling us this now? Because it's time for the truth to come out. Mike's voice cracked under the weight of his words. We can't keep living in this shadow anymore. If we're going to move forward, we can't ignore the past. The silence hung thick between them, each breath heavy with the gravity of the situation. Tom was trapped in a whirlwind of emotions: frustration, fear, confusion. Was his entire life built on lies? Would this truth fracture their already fragile connections? Ben let out a shaky breath, his voice barely a whisper. So what do we do now? Can we even trust each other? Tom's heart raced. The ground beneath them felt unstable, threatening to swallow them whole. Everything was spiraling, and he wasn't sure how to pull it all back together. As the waitress passed by, oblivious to the turmoil, Mike leaned in closer. There's more I haven't shared yet. Things that could explode everything you thought you knew. Caught in the eye of the storm, Tom's thoughts raced, wondering what the next revelation would bring. Would the truth illuminate their path, or would it finally tear them apart? Tell us, he urged softly, desperation lacing his voice. Mike nodded, gathering himself. It's about Sarah's health and the role your father played. We need to unravel every thread before it's too late. Heavy with anticipation, Tom could feel the walls beginning to close in. What kind of chaos was lurking just beyond this conversation? And as Mike began to speak again, an icy shiver ran down Tom's spine. What would the truth reveal? Tom leaned in closer, hanging on Mike's every word. The diner was near silent, with only the soft clink of cutlery and the muted hum of the jukebox in the background. Yet, their table felt like the epicenter of an impending storm, charged with unspoken truths and tightly held secrets. Your father did some things, Mike said, his voice barely above a whisper. Things that hurt people. He made promises to those who didn't care about keeping them themselves. And those broken promises. Mike paused, searching for the right words. They had consequences. Ben's jaw tightened, and Tom could feel the heat rising in him too. What do you mean consequences? Ben asked, the edge of anger creeping into his tone. It led to Sarah's condition, Mike continued, ignoring the rising tension. Doctors said it was complicated, but the truth is, it's linked to some dark choices your father made. Choices that created enemies. Enemies that turned into threats. Tom had never felt so hollow. You think my father's actions directly led to Sarah being sick? His voice shook, disbelief mixing with sorrow. I'm not saying he did it intentionally, Mike replied. But the situation spiraled from there. Families got involved, and suddenly innocent people were paying the price for the sins of others. These revelations crashed over Tom like waves, drowning him in confusion. He sat back in his chair, his heart pounding. His whole life, he had been proud of who his father was, but now that pride felt like a crumbling edifice. Ben ran a hand through his hair, anger boiling just beneath the surface. My sister, she deserves answers. If my father is part of this, we need to confront him. Gripped by urgency, Tom felt adrenaline coursing through him. Do you think confronting our fathers is the answer? Will it really fix things? We need clarity, Mike said fiercely. The truth. If we don't bring everyone into the light, we'll be left in darkness, stuck in cycles of pain. Just then, the waitress refilled their coffees, breaking the tension momentarily. She smiled, but her happiness only underscored the heaviness at their table. Tom met her gaze but quickly turned away, overwhelmed by the mix of dread and grief. "Sarah deserves to know what is happening," Ben said, voice steadying. "We can't let our parents' ghosts dictate our lives anymore." Tom felt the spark of determination ignite within him. "Then we begin with what we know. Mike, we need everything you have. Every detail." Mike drawled in his breath as if steeling himself. "I know a little more about the alliances our moms made. There's a reason why families fell apart, why your mom has been so distant." "Tell us," Tom demanded, urgency coating every syllable. "We can't afford to waste time." "Before they separated, our moms met in secret," Mike revealed, his eyes flickering with memories he wished he could forget. "They shared the burden of the fallout, but they didn't just hide from it. They stirred the pot. Each one protecting their son, using their influence to shield us from the truth. And now, Sarah, she's part of the collateral damage." A cold chill slithered down Tom's spine. "So, they're all to blame?" "Indirectly, yes. It's deeper than you think. If we want to save Sarah, we need to explore what our parents did and face the reality of the choices they made." Fighting back his rising anger, Tom felt tears press against the backs of his eyes. Could he come to terms with this impossible truth? Could he challenge the family he had blindly trusted? "Let us get to the bottom of this," he said, his voice resolute. "Together, we'll expose everything. No more secrets." The two young men nodded, sharing a fierce look of determination, their unity solidifying amidst the chaos of their shattered pasts. Then, Mike leaned in closer again. "But be warned, uncovering this can put us all in danger. There are people who do not want the truth to come out." Tom took a deep breath. The stakes were rising, and as the weight of their intentions settled, he knew one thing: they were standing on the edge of a cliff. The abyss below was dark and uncertain, but they had to jump together, and just as the shock of it all began to settle, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching them. The hairs on his neck prickled as he turned, catching the faded reflection of a man in the diner's glass door. A stranger, but one whose presence felt ominously familiar. "What is going on?" Tom whispered, heart racing as the stranger stepped closer. It was clear now the past was not finished with them yet. Tom's heart raced faster now, the stranger's silhouette morphing into a tall figure with an air of confidence that seemed almost threatening. He wore an old leather jacket and a baseball cap that obscured his eyes, but Tom could see the corners of his mouth tugging upward as if he was anticipating this moment. What felt like a lifetime passed in that split second, a play of emotions crossing Tom's face: fear, anger, confusion. The diner around them faded into oblivion, the clinking of silverware sounding muffled now, as if it was an echo from another world. "Who are you?" Tom's voice came out stronger than he felt, grounding him for just a moment. The man took a step forward, revealing more of his face under the dim light. Tom didn't recognize him, but something about the set of his jaw stirred a memory deep inside. "You don't remember me, do you?" the stranger said, a smirk forming, digging into Tom's mind like a thorn. Mike turned, eyes narrowing at the intruder. "This isn't your place. Why are you here?" "Nothing personal, kid," the man said, slipping into a stance that hinted at trouble. "Just passing by, thought I'd check in on some old friends." The tension in the air thickened. Tom felt Ben's body tense up beside him, but neither of them could assess the brewing storm without knowing more. The stranger's gaze shifted between Mike and Tom, then back to Ben. "You've all gotten riled up about family secrets, huh?" Tom's pulse pounded in his ears, drowning out the noise of the diner. "What do you know about our families?" he demanded, barely keeping his voice steady. "More than you think," the man replied, twisting the knife of mystery deeper. "I know about Sarah, and I know why you're digging into things you might not want to unearth." Ben's protective instinct surfaced with a flash of his lips thinning. You dare bring her name into this? Just stating facts, my friend, the stranger replied coolly. Family ties can be complicated. You might want to tread carefully. Sometimes, digging for truths leads to buried bones that should have stayed buried. Tom caught Ben's eye, a mixture of fear and resolve passing between them. Uncertainty hung like a thick fog, but so did the fumes of determination. If you know something, you should just say it, Tom pressed, his confidence wavering and rising at the same time. Stop hiding in the shadows. We're not afraid of facing whatever past lies ahead. There was a fleeting moment of silence, where everything hung in the balance, and then the stranger chuckled lightly, a sound that crawled along Tom's spine. Brave words for someone standing at the edge of a pit. But here's a piece of advice: secrets can kill. And if your fathers are hiding in their shadows, maybe it's for a good reason. Ben clenched his fists, body vibrating with fury. Why are you even here? What do you want from us? Let's just call it a nudge in the right direction. The man leaned in closer, warmth fading from his voice. Open your minds and your eyes, boys. The truth is never as sweet as you'd like it to be. And just like that, he stepped back, his demeanor shifting effortlessly from threatening to aloof. The stranger turned, his silhouette vanishing into the dark, leaving the three friends in stunned silence. What was that all about? Mike asked, still breathing unevenly. Someone who knows, Tom muttered, grappling with the reality of their situation. And we're running out of time. Sarah, even as he said her name, a haunting thought struck him. What if Sarah's condition was only the beginning? What if the deeper they dug, the more dangerous it became? They had to make a choice. Face off against their fathers and unravel the truth, or stay safe where ignorance served as a shield. And as they settled back into their booth, the decision loomed large above them, heavy and unnerving. Whatever it takes, he finally whispered, almost to himself. What truths awaited them in the depths of their family's pasts? Would they have the strength to confront them? The air felt electric with anticipation as Tom, Ben, and Mike sat in the old diner, plotting their next move. Their conversation shifted from fear to determination, forged in the fire of their shared truths. The stranger's warnings echoed in Tom's mind, but he refused to let them cripple him. This time, we're taking control, he announced, his voice steadying with resolve. Right, Ben added, his jaw set in determination. We need to talk to our fathers. They can't keep hiding forever. The fire in his eyes mirrored the one igniting in Tom's heart. Mike nodded, a look of respect on his face. Let us do it together. It's time they face everything they've avoided. The plan hung in the air like a promise, unbreakable yet fragile. As they left the diner, the weight of their shared resolve filled their hearts. Tom felt lighter despite the looming confrontation. There was a new energy between them, a brotherhood formed by understanding. Driving toward Ben's house, memories of their childhood rolled through Tom's mind. Laughter around campfires, shared secrets beneath the stars, none of it had prepared them for this storm. But now, they were ready to face it head-on. When they arrived, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension. Ben's father was inside, and Tom's heart raced. They stepped through the door, and the warmth of Ben's home felt strangely foreign now. Silence wrapped around them like a blanket, thick enough to smother. Dad! Ben called out. The voice cut through the stillness, pulling his father from the depths of the living room. As he stepped into view, Tom's pulse quickened. The man looked older than he remembered, lines of worry etched into his forehead, as if the shadows had aged him prematurely. Ben? What is going on? His father's voice was a mix of confusion and concern. Tom stood tall, fighting against the tremor in his muscles. We need to talk. All of us. The urgency in his voice ignited a spark in Ben's father's eyes, and he nodded slowly, understanding, pulling him closer to the moment. All right. Let us sit, he said cautiously, leading them to the living room. All three of them settled on the worn couch, the air thick with unsaid words. Tom noticed Ben's father glancing nervously between them. "Listen, I know things haven't been easy between us," Tom began cautiously. "But we're here to uncover the truth about our family's past, about Sarah's health, everything. We can't keep hiding from it." Ben's father shifted in his seat, the tension palpable. He started, but Tom interrupted, driven by a fierce wave of emotion. "We deserve to know what you've tried to protect us from. If my father's choices hurt Sarah, we need answers." Your father Ben's father hesitated, his eyes falling toward the ground. "He was involved in a deal with mine, a partnership that went wrong in a way I can't fully explain." The intensity of the moment captured Tom's heart. "It directly affected our mothers, didn't it?" he asked, and all eyes turned to Mike, who was leaning against the wall. "It did. Our families have been hiding secrets that endanger our futures because of past mistakes," Mike added, voice steady. "For too long, we've let pride and fear fuck with our lives." "I never wanted to hurt anyone," Ben's father said, his voice thick with regret. "I thought keeping these truths hidden would protect you both. I didn't realize the distance it would create." Tom's emotions surged. "But safeguarding us through silence only feeds fear, doesn't it? If anything, keeping secrets kept us chained to the past. Sarah is paying a price for things we don't even understand." A storm of emotions flickered across Ben's father's face. The battle between his guilt and his protective instincts was evident. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I lost sight of what really mattered. I wanted to shield you, but maybe it's time for families to stand together for a change." Tom could feel the shift in the air, a sense of possibility enveloping them. "So, what's the next step?" he asked, a glimmer of hope dawning in his heart. "We confront the past," Ben declared, determination rising with every word. "We need to get everyone together, our mothers, our fathers. Only then can we break the cycle." The three men exchanged determined glances, the fire of resolution igniting a new flame in their hearts. Tom took a deep breath, the journey ahead feeling monumental yet refreshing. "Together," he repeated, feeling those words bind their newfound alliance even more. Outside, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting hues of orange and pink, a beautiful tribute to the day they chose bravery over fear. As they stepped outside, Tom caught a glimpse of the future shimmering before them, one where honesty paved the way for healing, a chance for Sarah, a fresh start for their families. They exchanged final glances, the weight of their past looming large, yet they held on to something greater, the promise of transformation. In that moment, Tom knew they were taking the most vital steps forward into the light. As they walked into the sunset, the horizon opened wide, filled with the potential of what lay ahead. Families can rise again, they just needed to confront their past. And with that, Tom was ready to embrace the powerful tide of change that surged within him, a transformation igniting sparks of hope stronger than he ever imagined. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that bell icon so you never miss our exclusive stories. You know that every like helps feed the algorithm. Like now. Comment below with your reactions to this emotional ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us build a community that stands strong together.